Finals are actually been a lot better than what maybe a lot of people were expecting. We got, going to Saturday, it's tied 2-2. It's not going to be that after. And Giannis has been going off, what is he, Jalen? Like, only one of two players to ever put up 40-plus points in back-to-back finals games?
40 and 10 in back-to-back games.
40 and 10 was, oh yeah, him and Shaq. So, if you're up there with Shaq, you're in pretty good company. I think it's safe.
No. Yeah, LeBron too.
And LeBron, of course, it's LeBron, man. I mean, LeBron's everywhere. Also, Space Jam, the new one, whack. Let's not even talk. Mickey Mouse Space Jam. Let's just
Mickey Mouse Space Jam.
No, but we got more than that. The NBA is doing the play-in tournament, and so we're going to give our thoughts about that. We're going to look at some of the NFL divisions, who is going to be able to compete, who's going to be better. Also, who has more to prove this NFL season in Tua Tagovailoa or Cam Newton? We're going to talk some playoff teams that are going to miss this year. And then we're going to roll in. We're into the second half of the MLB season officially. So we're going to give you our second half predictions. A normal one, if you want to say. And then maybe a little bit more of a bolder one. And then, of course, none other than the Nene of the Week. But ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for tuning in today. Of course, I'm your host, Ross Allen, joined alongside by the Jalen Johnson. Jalen, how are we feeling going to the second half of your San Francisco Giants season?
I'm feeling good. I think that the season is going to continue to go the way it's been going for most of the league, and I think we're going to have an exciting playoff this year.
Yeah, unfortunately, yeah. Dude, my power rankings hurt to make, especially as an A's fan, man. I had to put the Giants at 1, then the Astros at 2. Oh.
You could have just left them off the list.
Dude, I could have, but I'm professional, man. Non-biased. But the Astros...
Put them on the bottom of the thing and put asterisk, they were really second.
The asterisk is actually genius. I might have to do that next time. But speaking of that, just make sure to follow all of our social medias. You can follow us on Twitter or Instagram, or best of all, you can find everything by going to thefourthandlong.com. And before we get into things, talking about the NBA Finals, we just got to give a quick shout out to our sponsors. So who all here... I mean, maybe this could be a question that you don't actually have to answer, but if you want to answer it, go ahead, just talk to yourself. But who here likes to do a little bit of sports betting? Who likes to make some money? And you can do that by going to Thrive Fantasy. Oh, Jalen got the hand raised. I like it. See, he likes it. I like making money. Making money is cool. So you go on over to ThriveFantasy.com to get started on sports prop betting today, the best source for all your sports prop betting. And on deposits of $20 and up to $50, they will match you dollar per dollar if you use promo code Fourth and Long. So you can go on over to the website or download the app on the Google Play Store or the Apple App Store. Then also, this show is also brought to you in part by our gracious Patreons or patrons from Patreon. And you can go over to our Patreon, patreon.com/fourthandlong to get started today for just $1 a month. $1 a month to feed. Hey, look at Jalen, man. Look at his eyes. He looks sad. He just wants $1 a month. That's all it takes. And that dollar not only lets Jalen be less sad, he's not going to be happy, but he's going to be less sad. It also gets you a bunch of bonus stuff as well. So go on over, check that out. We got 3 tiers for you guys, and each one comes with more benefit to you. Man, Jalen, let's get things started, though. The NBA Finals, as of Saturday, it is tied 2-2. Both teams winning at home. And so, right now, as the time of recording this will be out on Monday. We're recording on Saturday. It's a tied series. So, who's going to win the finals, and why are they going to win the finals? And don't say the refs as a reason.
No. I think my first one's going to be a little bit of a hot take here.
Okay.
But I think the Suns are going to win the NBA Finals at this point. And the reason is because I don't think an away team is going to win a home game this final. I think it's going to be all home game one for each team this year. I don't think anybody in those environments, those are 2 very tough environments, and now that fans are back and it's not a Mickey Mouse championship, I think that the fans are playing a really big part, especially when your fans can get beat up in the stands now. I think their fans start to shut up in away games, and that momentum kind of doesn't carry. So I think the Suns are going to win it just because they have the home court advantage, and they're going to get the home games in the order that they want from this point on. But I think we're going to Game 7. I think they're going to start trading games back and forth now at this point.
That would make everything fantastic. Because if you look at it right now, the Bucks are the better home team this playoffs, as they have only lost one this whole year. This whole playoff run. They are 11-1 as a home team in the NBA playoffs this season. The Suns have lost 2, so they are 10-2 in the at home during these playoffs. So both of them obviously very strong. And that's kind of why the same reason I'm kind of on the same page with that one. And I was hoping you were going to say that because it really stands out. If the Bucks do actually snag a game on the road, that is going to be huge. And honestly, if the Bucks win Game 5, it might be game over for the Suns, unfortunately. But I'm still rooting for the Suns, man. I
want Giannis to win the championship just because he's a great player, but
also
I feel
CP3,
like
man.
I feel like I want Chris Paul to get it instead.
Giannis has more time anyway. He's younger. He'll probably win some more championships. I'm not so sure about that for CP3, man. It's taking this long.
CP3's best chance he's ever gonna have. So I feel like he has to pick it up today's game. And if you want to use one of our sponsors, you go Thrive Fantasy and do some prop betting on tonight's game.
Oh yeah.
Tonight's game. When you hear this,
Saturday's game.
Saturday's game.
Well, no, it's going to be in the Paso. On any finals game.
Finals game, any sports game, you can use it, make money, whatever you think is going to happen, bet on it. Who you think is going to
Jalen.
Bet on it.
Oh, you are such a good shill. You've gotten better at this. You're catching up to me. Yeah. In my talents, on my list of talents, one of the top ones is selling out.
Watch, by the time we're big and famous, someone's gonna make one of those videos, and it was Kobe and Michael Jordan. It's like, look, if you change the video, you can't even tell the difference. That's what they can do with that.
Hey, I wouldn't complain, man. But one of the reasons why I said that the officiating shouldn't be one of the reasons why one of these teams is going to win. Let's talk about that, because especially in Game 4, there's a lot of people that had a lot of issues and problems with how the game was officiated. So, in your opinion, is there an officiating problem in the NBA Finals? Has it been going through the playoffs? Or is it something that's been a little bit more, I guess, overstated than what it really is?
No, there's been a roughing problem this entire season, and it's now just being magnified on this great stage. I would say the only positive side to this roughing problem is it's badly rough for both sides. So it's not like it's just one side. At least
it's even.
Yeah, every fan base is gonna be like, "Oh no, my team is getting the worst of it." But honestly, it's been bad for both sides. So technically, it's evenly bad. So technically, it's not bad. I don't know if that equals out. 2 negatives make a positive. I don't know.
No, it's still bad, but it's not impacting the game for one team or another.
It does. I feel like it does, but it's different because, when the penalty
we are same, but different. But still same. Shout out to anyone that can tell me what movie that quote's from.
But still same.
God bless you, Franco. There's your hand.
Great. Yeah, but I feel like it's just been horrible on both sides, as we saw in the last game, Game 4. Bad calls on both sides. There was a couple of fouls that should have been called, i.e., the Devin Booker foul when he had 5 fouls, and they just let him keep playing, even though it was pretty much a blatant taking that foul.
Well, Jen, you didn't see the new rule? It's 6 fouls to foul out.
I mean,
you only got 5, not 6.
That would have been. But yeah, and there were points early in the game that should have been called in Phoenix's favor that didn't get called. Mm-hmm. So it's kind of each person could choose what they think was the more defining foul that probably could have kept the game closer than it should have been, or anything like that, or could have put them in a better situation. But obviously, if your team ends up winning, the other fan base is obviously going to claim, hey, the fouls or the refs were in your favor. So it's kind of no way to win that unless you get better refs. Mm-hmm. So and you shouldn't let what's his name, Scott, uh, ref another game with CP3 is playing, because for some reason CP3 can't win when he's refing. So
Mm-hmm. Get on that NBA. Adam Silver, you are the best commissioner in all of professional sports. Even though that's not really saying much because you don't have too much competition.
yeah.
They're really not that great, but fix it, please. I know he might be able to.
MLB, man. No, I hate him.
Jalen, look in my eyes.
You're being serious.
I do not like Rob Manfred.
Rob Manfred is trash.
Rob Manfred's killed the game. Maybe.
But unless
not
Rob,
to get on my high horse. You guys have already heard my rants
or
about Rob
interview
Manfred.
if Rob, you want to give us an interview to tell your side of the story, man, I'd let it happen, man.
Hey, Rob, if you want to tell me about that time as a kid where you didn't just get dropped, you got spiked into the ground on top of your head. I would love to hear about that story, because obviously that's the only thing that could explain the decisions you've been making recently. Thanks, bud.
Yeah.
I appreciate you.
We should have a season where we rotate all of the GM. The
Adam
GM.
Silver takes over baseball.
Yeah, Adam Silver takes over baseball.
Let's go. Rob Manfred. Let's give him to hockey so they can just put the final. So he can kill that sport real quick. Roger Goodell Roger Goodell could take over the NBA.
Yep.
Oh, that's not good. I don't like that. I'm sorry, NBA fans. We're going to move on because that's not a good reality we want to live in here. But there's been a lot of talks. There's obviously going to be a lot of free agents moving, a lot of trades happening. There's rumors as of right now for Dame Lillard that he might want out soon. I mean, they're already the Sixers are looking to send Ben Simmons out. They've announced that they're officially looking to do that. So out of the entire NBA, who is the best signing spot for free agents or players looking to be traded, and why is it the Sacramento Kings? I'm just kidding.
I mean, it's going to be at some point.
At some point, maybe within the next 50 years.
Exactly, within the next 50 years, we're going to be the team.
And that might be a bold take.
Yes. But I think that the best spot for free agents landing right now, I feel like if I'm an NBA player in free agency, the place I'm trying to go, no, I'm not going to say the Lakers. It's two teams. I feel like number one is Philadelphia. I feel like Philadelphia is going to get some great, they're going to get a lot of great return for Ben Simmons.
Who would want to play alongside the second best big man in the league?
Yeah, exactly. And Joel Embiid and Tobias Harris over there. I feel like they're going to get some great trade return for Ben Simmons. Mm-hmm. And I feel like another reason I would love to go to Philly is one of the free agents who want to be moved, or as he said recently, he didn't want to be moved or hadn't said he wanted to be moved, Damian Lillard. I think that's one of my big landing spots for him.
Lillard for Ben Simmons. It's that easy.
Yeah, for Ben Simmons, maybe a draft pick or two. And I feel like Dame Lillard over there, you have Dame Lillard, Tobias Harris, and Joel Embiid, and a team that still did pretty good in the playoffs last year.
With a good bench.
Yeah, with a good bench. I think people are going to want to go there. Free agents are going to go there. You're a center. I'll back up Joel Embiid. I'll take that contract. I'll back up Dame Lillard. I'll take that contract. Seth Curry coming off the bench with Dame Lillard.
Seth Curry was lighting up this playoffs. Exactly. That was a huge shock. I mean,
you add him into that mix.
If one Curry is going to shoot a bunch of threes in the playoffs, or I mean, we're always going to have at least one of the Curry brothers.
Yeah, one of them.
Right.
One. And then I think that's pretty much. I feel like Philadelphia, if they start making the moves, I think they will be a great spot for people to come to for the free agents that are going to be available this offseason. My second team right now is the Boston Celtics. I feel like the Boston Celtics, Jason Tatum coming into his own and declaring his spot as one of the top stars in the league last season. Jaylen Brown also over there doing his thing. That team looks like it just needs some pieces. And I feel like if you have the chance to go play next to a young star like that and make a run like that, with that team, I feel like that's a great spot. And so I feel like a lot of free agents are going to want to flock over there to Celtics to line up and play with Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum, unless Jaylen Brown gets moved. But I hope they don't. I hope they keep those two together.
Mm-hmm. They should. I guess it might depend on the whole new coaching and stuff like that. But it's one of those things where really only time will tell. And then the last little bit of NBA stuff we're going to talk today is that on Friday, the NBA announced that them and the Players Association have agreed to continue the play-in tournament for the 2021-22 season. So first of all, poor LeBron James, because that man has to be just so shaken up over this news. I mean, you've gone from one season for rooting for it, the next season hating it because you had to play in it. But, sucks to suck, LeBron. But is this a good idea, and is the tournament necessary?
I feel like it was a good idea. I feel like the basketball playoffs are exciting, don't get me wrong. Mm-hmm. I feel like they were always missing a little certain something. I'm not saying that this is it, but it
I can tell you what they were missing. Parity. Because come on, man. Like one of my qualms with the NBA is like really over the last 6 seasons or so, it's been kind of obvious who was going to win.
Yeah.
Or at least you can narrow it down to 2 to 3 teams. So that's one of the things that sucks. With the NFL, it's you have a lot of surprise teams. The MLB, you always have the one team that goes on tear. And then this year for the NHL, you had the 16th seeded Montreal Canadiens make it to the finals. Mm-hmm. So I think that's my call, but there's my little rant done.
Yeah. I think that this play-in tournament, since the play-in tournament started, we've seen more kind of ascendancies of the 8th seeds and 9th seeds doing better. We had this year, we had the Grizzlies who did amazing and kind of gave them a run for their money. Obviously, they didn't make it very far, but they still played great games. We had great series. With these additional play-in games, you're kind of giving these lower seeds warm-up games to then play against this higher competition, and they're actually giving these higher ranked teams a run for their money. In my opinion, NBA should still go to a March Madness type playoff, and we should have like an all-out one game, play your heart out type thing. In my opinion, I think that'd be great in the NBA. But
like NFL style, just one game elimination.
You have one game to play your heart out. And then just give the players a bigger break in between instead of one.
That's one of the reasons why a lot of players, rightfully so, argued that I don't know, it's kind of tough. I think the Stanley Cup is the hardest trophy to win in all sports, with the Lombardi being right behind it. But the thing about a lot of the case people make about the NFL playoffs being the hardest is that it's one game, and if you have one bad game or one bad moment in that game, the season's over. Whereas in the NBA, you can have 3 mistakes, you can have 3 bad games, and you can still win the season or still win the series.
If we look at this year's playoffs, the first round, a lot of the lower seed teams won the first game. Mm-hmm. The playoffs will look 100% different right now.
Yes.
If just that one game, because the lower seeds won a lot of the first games in the series leading up to the finals this year. I feel like if we did that, or even if we did that and not increase the playoff pool, but instead of the playoff game, just everyone who's eligible for playoff tournament just gets put into earlier games and give the top seeds a rest for the first game, give them a little bye for the first round, and then just play like that into a tournament bracket. But I feel like that's what makes NBA playoffs not as hard to win as the other sports, just because you have one shot. Hockey's different. Hockey is just intense, nonstop, fast paced, and that's why the 7-game series
tough play.
Tough.
Talk about the injuries in those.
Exactly.
People
and so that's
beat the hell up over the course of just the playoffs alone, especially after an 80-game regular
season themselves.
Yeah, that's why the Stanley Cup is the hardest trophy to win in all the sports, and that's going to be probably my take until just about the end of time. And so I guess the one reason why your idea would never happen is money, because 4 games at the least are better than 1. And one of the things the NBA doesn't, I don't think they get as many viewers in one game as someone like the NFL would, which is ultimately the league, the brand they're going to be competing with the most, because those are the 2 most popular sports in America, is basketball and NFL. So that might be tough.
And I still stand by the idea that we should have a tournament for the number one pick.
like a loser's bracket.
A loser's bracket. I feel like they should play for because I feel like you should probably because I feel like people tank. I feel like I like tanking. I get it, but at the same time, it
Oh, the
shouldn't.
NBA does tanking better than anyone else could ever.
Exactly. And so I believe after the game, the season ends, the bottom 8 teams should have to play for those top seeds. And so last place gets 8th seed, and first place gets first seed.
I like that, man. You can even do it with a six. At the least, like a 14 playoff. You just do a semifinal and a final for that. You know,
Exactly.
it's the worst.
Even if you like the first four, and then just did the lottery for the last.
Mm-hmm.
Or
they just get placed in the ranking that they were kind of like the NFL does.
Mm-hmm.
You know? So I like the idea. Will it ever happen? Probably not. Would we like to see it happen? Yes, and if you have any thoughts about that, please drop it in the comments or hit us up on our socials because we would love to see your opinion on the matter. But let's roll from some NBA talk into some NFL coverage because was 54 days on the day of recording, so on the day we drop, so like 52 days away, about 50 days away until we get NFL action. So we're getting close. We're getting real close.
50 days? That's not regular season 50 days.
No, because that'd be in September. So I mean, but football, just football.
Yeah, okay.
Wait, no,
Preseason.
no, I think that is regular season. Wait, because
July.
July. That'd be the regular season. Regular season in about 50 days because preseason starts in August.
We have preseason in
Dude, we got like a month.
Yeah.
Oh, bless up! This day is amazing.
We'll talk about that later. I don't want to ruin the surprise for the fan.
Fair enough. But one of the first things we're going to take a look at is I want to see which division you think will end up with the most wins between them, or it's going to be the better division overall. And this is the two Southern NFL divisions. So the NFC South, of course, we have the Saints, Bucks, Carolina Panthers, and the Atlanta Falcons. In the AFC South, we have the Colts, Titans, the Jags, and the Houston Texans. So these divisions are comparable because you have two clear top teams in the Bucks and Saints, and then you have the Colts and Titans. So you can easily compare those. The Saints are a good team. The Colts are a solid team. Both have some questions at quarterback. So we'll see if Carson Wentz it should be Jameis Winston being the starting quarterback for the Saints. If you say Taysom Hill, please stop talking because you're wrong. Alex and I went over this plenty of times last season. At the end of the season, Jameis Winston needs to be that starter there. And then you have a good team that's in the middle of rebuilding, and that's the Carolina Panthers for the NFC South. And it's going to be the Jacksonville Jags for the AFC South. And then you have that team that's highly questionable, and that's the Houston Texans or the Atlanta Falcons. So two very comparable teams. So which one do you think will have more wins, or which one do you think is the better division overall?
I don't know. I think honestly, I've been having this weird feeling that the Falcons, the Panthers, and the Saints, and that other team. I have a feeling that what season was that? 2014, where they were one of the worst divisions in the NFL, where they had about the division winner had like 9 wins, something like that.
Dude, I love the kind of cycle just real quick of different divisions have been just god awful. I remember it was 2010. The AFC West was awful, just so bad. I think the Broncos won the division in 2011, going 8-8. So I think that's all you need to know there. The NFC West has been awful. Remember when the NFC East was awful, or the AFC East was awful. I remember very clearly when who was it? The NFC North used to be pretty bad too. But
yeah.
I like each division's had their rounds. It's been great.
Yeah, it rotates. But I've had a feeling that's going to happen again. I feel like they're going to be very closely matched in that division. I feel like they're going to all go at it. I feel like most of them are going to end up splitting games. And I don't think the Bucks are going to be able to do that again. In all honesty, no hate towards them at all.
Mm-hmm.
It's just I don't think that the teams are just going to allow them to do what they did last season as easily as they did it.
Yeah.
And I feel like that's just going to happen. On the other hand, I don't know. This NFL season I'm very excited for because it's
Mm-hmm.
one of the first seasons in a while that we don't have like a clear cut just dominant team
Oh,
that
there's a
going.
lot of teams you could throw through for the Super Bowl. I mean, you could throw in the
Yeah,
Chiefs,
a
you
lot
can
of
throw
the
in the
teams.
Bucks, you can throw in the Rams, you can throw in you can throw in the Bucks if I said them or not already. You can throw in the Colts, you can throw in the Titans. There's
Exactly.
and then
I feel
hell,
like
dark horse team. I'm gonna tell you right now, we might go a little more in depth into it, but dark horse Arizona Cardinals. You're welcome, Jalen.
thank you.
If the Broncos get Aaron Rodgers, that's a Super Bowl team.
Yeah, but I just feel like there's so many just teams that got players in this free agency. This free agency was very after the whole lopsided Patriots at the beginning of it. The talent was very widespread throughout the league, which hasn't
Yeah.
happened. Wow, a lot of the time it's when all the top guys go certain places together. They join up together, not like super team wise,
Or
but
at
just
least
like
smaller teams getting the talent, the big talent pools. You know,
exactly. And I feel like a lot of the teams who are rebuilding,
like the Cardinals.
this is the year where they've kind of set up to be a top team now. And I feel like there's a lot of teams who are considered to be in the running to be a top team, and there's not enough spots.
Mm-hmm.
So this season is just going to be absolutely exciting.
Yeah.
I'm ready to watch football. I feel like I haven't watched a lot of non-Cardinals games
Mm-hmm.
in a while. Like I watch it and like I watch the highlights obviously
Of
because we have the
course.
podcast. I have to know
Yeah.
the stuff, but like I haven't really watched games non-reluctantly in a
Mm-hmm.
very long time. Like it's usually Cardinals games, and then I gotta watch the stuff so I know stuff for the
Yeah.
podcast.
And
But
then, of
this
course, you watched all the primetime games.
exactly this season, every single game that comes on, I'm watching it. These teams, the competition this season, I can't wait to see it. And now there's another game added on to it. Is added to the atmosphere, the playoff chase, the chase for the Super Bowl players,
Mm-hmm.
the trade deadline in the middle of the year, all that stuff. I'm excited. This season just looks exciting. The divisions look exciting. Even the lower level divisions, they still have great prospects. The draft class looks like it's going to be amazing.
Oh,
With
yeah.
ups and downs. You don't know who's going to be like. There was like a lot of the time, like in the early in the draft, you could kind of see like, okay, that guy's probably going to be a bust. There's a lot of bust prospects this season. This first round, obviously, there's some guys who are probably going to bust, but there wasn't a lot of just standout. That guy kind of seems like a history of what bust players were. This off season has been amazing, and I
Mm-hmm.
think it's a great preseason coming up very soon. We're going to see some of these rookies and who is going to be the undrafted free agent king of this year. There's always one. I can't wait to see who it is this year. And then going to a season where the games matter, I just can't wait.
No,
This is going to be wonderful.
you're down the money, dude. I'm really excited for this. I mean, going specifically into the AC South or NFC South, I like the AFC South more just because I like the AFC more. Like last year, the AFC had more talent. We had a 10-win team not making the playoffs in the Dolphins, which is almost crazy. You never see that. We have the abysmal NFC East. You have some sort of lackluster teams. Of course, it doesn't help when you got teams like, sorry, Lions fans, but the Lions sneaking things up a little bit. Yeah, the NFC East is specifically the NFC North. I mean, some of the teams in the NFC. It's just, I think there's more competition in the AFC. The Titans and the Colts are two Super Bowl contenders. The Bucs are obviously Super Bowl contenders. I'm not sure if I could say the same thing about the Saints though. Then the Carolina Panthers, hell, they might be a playoff dark horse, maybe with a fully healthy CMC. Depends on how good Sam Darnold does. I think there's a good possibility that he does a lot better with the Panthers than he ever did with the Jets, just because he actually has a real kind of coach down there, real organization, and it's a real talent to actually play with. So he's going to have that as an advantage. But man, I guess we're going to have to wait and see about that one. But if we're going to talk about divisions, let's talk about the AFC East. And let's talk about two of the quarterbacks in that division that might have a lot to prove this season. One of them being the Dolphins quarterback, Tua Tagovailoa, and then the Patriots quarterback, at least right now, the starting quarterback, Cam Newton. So out of these two, Jalen, which one has more to prove? Because it seemed way too often last year that Tua was bailed out by Ryan Fitzpatrick, who's not there anymore. He's over there with the Washington football team, who apparently is going to be getting a new name by the beginning of next year. And then you got Cam Newton, who had a really bad last season. At least he had 12 rushing touchdowns, so I guess that was cool. But besides that, quarterback play, not good. And so he might not even be the starter for the beginning of the season or most of the season. So which quarterback has more to prove, and which one has a bigger chip on their shoulder heading into the 2021 season?
I think the one with most to prove is Tua. Tua has to prove that he can bail himself out. Ryan Fitzpatrick did bail him out of a lot of games last year, and he put the Dolphins in position to be that 10-win team, even though they didn't get to make the playoffs. I think that the opposite for Cam. I think Cam has the biggest chip on his shoulder, though. Cam had a pretty bad season last year, but if you look at it, his first couple weeks before he got COVID were pretty good. They're up there. After COVID, obviously just went just downhill for the rest of the season. I feel like he has the biggest chip on his shoulder to prove that he is who he says he is, and he is who all of us saw him, who he was growing up. And also with the rookie right behind him trying to take his spot, he has to prove that you're going to have to wait a couple years, Rook. You're going to have to put that on stage this year, and I feel like he can do it. For Tua, I think he can be the quarterback over there. I think he'd be the franchise quarterback over there. I just think he has to prove he can be a finisher, which is one of the main things for quarterbacks in the league right now. Yes, you can play, but when it comes down to the clutch moments and when it actually matters, can you finish? Can you finish that game-winning drive with 2 minutes on the clock? Can you throw that Hail Mary with a couple seconds left on the clock? Can you drive down the field to secure a win when your team's only in the lead by 2 points and the defense is on you? You have to prove you can do that in this league. If you can't do that in this league, you're not going to be in here for long. We've seen the guys who, like Matt Stafford. Matt Stafford has had losing seasons pretty much more than he's had winning seasons in his career.
Oh, he has, but it hasn't been his fault.
Exactly. But also, there's a stat that came out. He has like something like 90 something, or not even 90. It was like 70 or 80 something wins in his career, and with the Lions, and like 40 something of them had to take game-winning drives. You have to, if you want to be in the league and be considered a top guy, you have to perform like that. You have to do game-winning drives when it matters. If you're just good and then the fourth quarter you shit the bed, you're not going to be in the league for long. So I definitely think that I think he has the biggest amount of things to show and prove to fans and to the Dolphins organization this season.
One quarterback has to prove that is capable of being the face of an entire franchise. A team that is well built around him too. They have a good defense, one of the best secondary units, at least currently amid the trade talks in the league. They have a really solid offense. They have a good tight end, good offensive line, good running game. They were arguably a playoff team. They could have, and they maybe should have been the playoff team last year, but those big wins, and especially if you look at that Las Vegas Raiders game where Fitzpatrick threw up the Hail Mary with his face mask getting pulled, their success came from Ryan Fitzpatrick. Tua kept them in games. Fitzpatrick won them games. And so that's something you're going to have to do. And with Cam Newton, you are a former league MVP. And ever since that Von Miller stripped you in the fourth quarter of Super Bowl 50 and you didn't dive on the ball, your career has been plummeting down, whether it be from injuries, or whether it be from illness, or from all the above, man. And so he has to prove if he's still that guy, he has to prove if he could still be a quarterback in the NFL, let alone a starting quarterback in the NFL, let alone being a former MVP that's going to lose a starting job to a rookie from Alabama, a college that's known for talent at every position besides the quarterback position. So, I mean, if you're normally from Bama, historically, you're destined to be a career backup. Maybe it's different for Mac Jones, and maybe could make a difference with Cam Newton. I think that Cam Newton has more to prove given that he's a veteran. He is a former MVP, and he talks a way bigger game than Tua does. He puts himself into this hole, and he kind of brings on the hate. And Tua, on the other hand, he's a silent worker type. Cam Newton is not silent about his work. Let's just make that clear. So Tua obviously has.
I like it because he's always been like that. It's not a recent thing.
No, it's not a recent thing. But if you're always going to be like that, you always have to perform. And so Tua doesn't put any extra pressure on himself. Everyone else does. Cam Newton, I feel like, puts extra pressure on himself. So he has a lot more to prove this year, not only because of all the outside pressure, but also the pressure that he puts on internally. Obviously, Tua probably does that a lot, but it's less visible, it's less obvious, it's less apparent. He's less vocal about it. So I'm going to go with Cam Newton. But obviously, two of them, a lot to prove this season. Now, let's get into a little, looking back at 2020, we had a lot of teams, maybe some of them surprisingly make the playoffs, but there's like kind of what Jalen, you alluded to earlier with free agency. A lot has shifted from last year to this year. So let's take a look and kind of make our predictions of which 2020 playoff teams are more or most likely to miss this year's playoffs. And for me, I actually have 5 teams on here. And so I think there's a chance that we might have 5 playoff teams from last year. 5 of the 14 missed the playoffs. And that's going to be teams like the Pittsburgh Steelers, because I have 0. I know Big Ben, he's getting all into health and eating salads and losing some weight, man. Yeah, go you. You're still a washed quarterback, and the Steelers aren't going to have much success this year, especially in a brutal division that is the AFC North. You have the Chicago Bears that only made the playoffs because the Cardinals handed them a win and handed them a playoff berth, where they're not a playoff team. Come on, anything about that Chicago? We saw it against the Saints, man. Not a playoff team. Then the Washington football team, I think they're going to win the division, but if they don't, there's one of those chances where they might not make the playoffs. In like NFC East, really one of those teams to make the playoffs, they almost have to win that division. It's going to be a tough battle with an improved Cowboys team, especially with Dak being back for hopefully the whole season this year. So it's going to be tough for Washington to try to repeat just because of that. If Aaron Rodgers leaves or doesn't play a snap for the Green Bay Packers, I think the Vikings win that division, and that the Green Bay Packers have a very real chance of missing the playoffs entirely. They can go from being the NFC Championship game to being out of the playoffs. And one of the last teams I want to throw up there is actually the Seattle Seahawks, because they're a great team, don't get me wrong, with one of the best quarterbacks, top 5 quarterback in the league right now. I mean, DK Metcalf, Tyler Lockett, top 5 wide receiver duo in the league. You have Jamal Adams, who's top 5 rushing defending safety. Maybe not the pass coverage, but they don't pay the money to be that. He's essentially a linebacker that lines up even farther off the football. They have a solid defense around them. Bobby Wagner is still great, but they're in a really competitive division. There's a really good chance that the Rams win the division. There's a chance that it's probably going to be a battle between the Arizona Cardinals and the San Francisco 49ers on second place in a possible playoff berth. The Cardinals, they might even be able to make a playoff berth as well. If the NFC West has 3 playoff teams, I will not be shocked. But if they have that many teams that are that good, the Seattle Seahawks, there's a very real possibility that they end up last in the division. And if you end up last, or if you end up anywhere besides second place, you're probably not going to make the playoffs. So that's my argument for those 5 teams.
Yeah, for sure. I agree. I feel like they're all either in tough divisions or in divisions to where it's tough to make playoffs, like the Washington football team. In that division, the way they've been playing the last few years, it's been either you win the division or you're not in. And I feel like that's the hardest part. I do believe Washington will win the division this year, but I think with Dak back, if he's back and healthy for the full season, that's probably going to be the Cowboys' spot. Also, you have Jalen Hurts over there in Philadelphia trying to make a name for himself as a new starting quarterback.
Or maybe Deshaun Watson, depending on how things go. If you
Yeah.
want to put if you want to put weight into what Adam Schefter had to recently say,
Exactly. And so I feel like that
or you
division.
just go to the Broncos, either Deshaun Watson and the Broncos. To be honest, I'd rather Deshaun Watson. So hey, Deshaun, hurry up and get to Denver. Follow your boy Kareem Jackson.
Yeah. But it's.
Please.
I feel like that one's the hardest one, and so I would have to say Washington not making it is the most realistic, just because that division. While I don't think it's going to
maybe Chicago.
Yeah, Chicago too. Yeah.
It's just
Chicago. Chicago's definitely number one, but number two would be the NFC East. It's just that I don't think they're going to be like the top division, but I do think it's going to be a close, just like it was last year.
Yes,
his teams battling back and forth, but I don't think the division is going to be good enough to where they get two people, and I think it's going to be a one-team playoff division.
No, I think Washington's an improved team this year, though, too.
Yeah,
they're better than a 7-9 team. Honestly, the big question is if the Cowboys defense, while good on paper for the second season in a row, if they can actually live up to how they're supposed to play.
And that's what you have to wonder right now. And so we'll wait and see, but that's kind of the hard part. Yeah, like Seattle was also my number 3 team for not making it, but that one is more they could get. I do think the NFC West is probably going to have about 3. It'd be awesome if they could have all 4 teams make the playoffs, but I do think they have 3.
Imagine if that actually happened.
And it's hard to believe that the Seattle Seahawks will be 4th in the division.
Yeah.
So I think it's hard to say that they won't make it, just because I think 3 NFC West teams are going to make the playoffs.
Honestly, from 4th place to 1st place in that division, it could be a difference of 3 games.
Exactly.
The 4th team could be 3 games back at the 1 team. It's going to be crazy.
I think that's going to be the closest. I think that division is probably going to win the most games this season on paper. Obviously, we have to see how they all play and how everyone connects and who's going to be quarterback for the 49ers.
How many injuries the Niners going to suffer?
Already suffering like 2 or 3 of
them.
They
already suffered 2 on the first day of camp. 2 season-ending injuries.
Yep.
I feel so bad for them.
Yeah, I do too. Not really, but I do. For the player, not for the team. It's just that division, when it's a lot harder to make the playoffs when it's only 1 team in your division is going to make it, compared to when 3 teams are going to make it. Hey, I just have to finish in the top 3 of this division.
Right.
So I feel like with that one spot, it's going to lead to some great games for division play for them. But I definitely think it's going to come down to, I think it's going to be the last game of the season. I think it's going to be another one of those situations to where we need someone to win and we need someone to lose, and we get in. And I feel like that's how the NFC East is going to be again this season.
Yeah, I'm really excited for that one. There's going to be a lot of parity in the NFL this year. There's going to be a lot of really close games. So, like you said at the beginning of this segment, I'm really looking forward to the NFL season. And kind of to cap off the NFL stuff before we go into the MLB and then the Nene of the Week, I got a question for you, Jalen. So, and for all of you out there too, would you take this scenario? Your favorite team is guaranteed to win the Super Bowl this season, but they will miss the playoffs the next 10. Do you take it?
Yes, that's exactly what pretty much has happened to me as a Cardinals fan.
And as a Broncos fan.
We made the Super Bowl back against the Steelers. We didn't win it. It was close, but we didn't win it.
Little toe tap in the back of the end zone.
We made the playoffs once since then. So if you would tell me go back and we win that game, and I'd have to wait, pretty much this year would be the first year we'd be able to make playoffs again, then I'd be fine with it, because we pretty much already did it. I think I could mentally do it again as long as we're close.
Right, and then for me as the Broncos, I mean, they won in the 2015-2016 season. Ever since then, they've been awful. They've been really bad. So, honestly, I would take it. And my reason is, what's the ultimate goal of a football team in the NFL? Yeah. To win Super Bowls, to win championships. It's not to make the playoffs. It's to win championships. And so if you're averaging a Super Bowl every 10 years, like kind of what this, or 11 years, what this situation would be, that's not bad. There's a lot of teams that don't even have a Super Bowl still.
For the opposite side, if we make playoffs, do we still have a chance to make
Yeah,
it?
you have that chance.
You still have a chance to win it. I don't know. I feel like
I'm taking the guaranteed Super Bowl, man. Like, there's
I'm
so many people that go their lives without like seeing a good team, or like they have to wait a while to see their team win it. So no,
mhm.
I want to be guaranteed that. You know?
Yeah, I feel like in my entire life, I mean, like obviously I was alive for the Giants World Series wins, but I wasn't as invested in baseball as I am
Mhm.
now. Since I've been invested in baseball, obviously since like I would say 20 like 15,
Mhm.
2016, uh we haven't won anything really. We
No.
made playoffs I think like once, maybe twice. I think
Mhm.
it's twice. And it's just been awful. And so I haven't been alive to watch one of my teams who I've been deeply invested in, and
And
now I definitely have a lot more team I'm deeply
the
invested in.
Cardinals never won a Super Bowl. The first Super Bowl you see them win will be the first one any Cardinals fan will see them win.
Exactly, and I really want to see that. So I think definitely, and also seeing my friends who have seen their teams win, the emotion that they went through, and the excitement that they went through of having those moments. I want that. Like, yeah, I was excited when the Giants won the World Series. Trust me, I was excited, but like there was no like not no emotion behind it, but it
Mm-hmm.
wasn't like an all relief because I wasn't watching all season. I wasn't. Yeah, I'm a Giants fan, but it was kind of I was born a Giants fan, and so I was a Giants fan.
Yep.
Those three World Series were like yay, but like I didn't watch baseball. Now
Watching your team win the Super Bowl is a whole different experience. I tell you, when Jalen could attest this, when the Broncos won the Super Bowl in 2016 in Super Bowl 50, I wore Broncos stuff to school for the month after the Super
yeah,
Bowl.
it was probably like a month,
It
almost a
was
month.
I wore for at least a month straight.
Yeah, at least. And I would run around in a freaking big red costume doing flips and but no, it's just I would love to see it. I know how excited I was when the Cardinals made a Super Bowl. If they could just win one, that'd be awesome. I'm
Mm-hmm.
buying a jersey. I'm buying all the hats and the hoodies and
Yep.
the full suit. I buy the shoes, the glasses.
The
I'm going there
keychain,
for a festival, keychain,
the flag, the
ring,
pennant.
hats, flag, pennant. I'm buying a makeshift Lombardi trophy. I'm just gonna keep it in my
Full
house.
size.
Exactly, made out of aluminum foil that I bought from a crackhead from down the street. You know, like it's just an experience that
You know, Jalen, you can say down the street. You're not exaggerating.
I'm not even exaggerating.
Oh no, that's not good. But yeah, let us know what you guys think about this one. But we're going to roll into our MLB kind of second half predictions. So obviously, it's nice both our teams got off to a good start. You know, Jalen's team got a solid win against the Cardinals, was it? And
Yes.
then, of course, the A's in their first game back, walk it off with Jed Lowry in the bottom of the ninth against the Cleveland Indians. So, really great stuff there. But let's talk second half predictions. So, we're going to do one normal prediction, like one kind of prediction that you can easily see happening, and then one bold. I'm gonna start us off with the normal, and then I'm gonna take your normal. But I'm going to say that the San Francisco Giants are going to win the NL West over the Dodgers and over the Padres, and it's going to be really awful for me if that happens.
Because as everyone remembers, I think it was episode 56, I believe it was.
Yeah.
Ross promised to eat one of the Pocky One Chip Challenge chips if the Giants won the division. And because we were talking about it, and I think we were doing our MLB predictions for the season,
Mhm.
and he said, "Who's your prediction for winning the NL West division?" I don't know. He said, "Don't say the Giants," and I was like, "You never know." And he said, "I will eat the chip if they win the
Yep.
division," and now they are in a great position to do so.
There are only 2 games ahead this recording, but I'm a man of my word. I'll do it. At the worst, I was telling Jalen this. At the worst, at the best, I don't have to eat that chip, which is great. At the worst, I make a really funny video because you're gonna all be able to
Content.
see me suffer. And
Yeah,
so,
for
ah,
sure.
yeah. So it's not too bad. But your normal prediction for the second half?
My normal prediction for the second half is I think the season's going to continue going as it's going. I think the teams are kind of already set
Mm.
and what they're going to be doing. I feel like the teams have shown their true colors, and I feel like like obviously some people in first might move to second, some people in second might move to first. You know, a little shuffle here and there. I feel like teams are consistently do what they were doing before the break. I feel like that's just one of those. This is just one of those seasons of teams aren't going to change very much.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like people are going to continue to play what they were doing, win the games they were winning. I feel like the top teams now are going to be the top teams by the end of the season. Obviously, give or take a few places. I just think there's going to be a smooth into the season for everybody. I don't think there's going to be a lot of
not too many surprises.
Not too many surprises. I don't think any of the third place teams who are back by 15 games are going to end up taking first or second place. I don't think any of that's going to happen this season. I think pretty much whatever the order is now, give or take a few divisions, it's going to be the end when the season ends.
Well, fair enough. And then bold prediction time, and I got a bit of a spicy one, Jalen. Maybe not as spicy as the chip I might have to eat, but it's spicy nonetheless. And that is that we are going to have, I think maybe for only the second, maybe third time in MLB history, we're going to have 2 60 home run hitters this year, and that's going to be Shohei Ohtani and Vlad Guerrero Jr. Right now, Vlad has 30. He's on pace for about 60. Shohei Ohtani is on pace for about 62. And so, I think that's my take. And if that happens, that will be ridiculous. All I know is that both these guys, you're on their really small contracts. You're on their essentially rookie deals. Vlad Guerrero, rookie deal. Shohei Ohtani, smaller deal from the foreign player. They're going to be making so much money once they're re-signed, along like guys like Pete Alonso. And I'm going to say, it's not going along with my second half of the season bold prediction, but maybe just a bold prediction in general. Shohei Ohtani is going to be making more money on average yearly, more money in yearly salary than Mike Trout will be. But
yeah,
your bold take on the second half of the season, Jalen?
My bold take on the second half of the season is the Giants are winning the World Series. No, I feel like, in my opinion, I feel like the second half of the season is going to be very, very, very offensive. We're going to see a lot more blowout games.
Kind of like what we saw with the Padres and then the Nationals. I mean, they opened up their second half. Final score 24-8. The Padres is scoring the most runs in franchise history, and it looked like a game between the formerly San Diego Chargers and the formerly Washington Redskins.
Yeah.
Imagine scoring 8 points and still getting blown out like that. Imagine scoring 8 points and not winning in general.
Usually, if you
score 8 runs, runs.
Yeah, if you score 8 runs, usually you either end the game or you won the game by a good amount. Not this time.
you got blown the hell out.
But yeah, the first half of the season was dominated by pitching. Obviously, we had all those no-hitters and people getting close to no-hitters very, very often in the first half. I think bats are going to ring out in the second half of the season. Like you said, 60 home run seasons for Shohei and Vlad. I think a lot of guys. I think home runs. I think we're going to pretty much have almost like a record for home runs in a season. I think this is just going to be. Just get ready for the cracks, guys.
And even with Rob Manfred doing his best to de-juice the baseballs like from last season, we're still seeing a crap to the home runs. Bring the juice, baby. Just real quick. Speaking of juice, we saw one of the greatest home run battles in history was between Sammy Sosa and Mark McGwire. Imagine, and those guys were juiced all the way up. And so imagine if we saw Vlad Guerrero and Shohei Ohtani on roids.
Yeah. I feel like we should have an alternate league for everything. I feel like we should have the NFL, then we should have the steroid NFL. We should have the MLB and the steroid MLB.
MMA or UFC and then TRT UFC. Or sorry, EPO UFC.
Exactly. Take what you want to take into your life, and then we watch that league.
So Pride FC. Oh, I love anyone that can actually understand that reference. Pride never die. Go follow our, go listen into our UFC shows if you don't do already. Weekly, drops Tuesdays. UFC Talk 53 coming out this Tuesday. But it's that time. It's time to roll into the Nene of the Week. And this is a baseball-themed Nene, Jalen. And this award it's an MLB All-Star themed award. And this is going to go to the National League as they lost their 8th straight All-Star game. And this would be bad because nowadays the World Series home team is determined by who has the most wins out of the two teams. If for those who don't know, it used to be determined by which league won the All-Star game. So I wish, honestly, I really like that rule. I kind of want them to bring it back.
Yeah.
It brings a little more incentive into that. And then also, I mean, these 8 straight losses would not be good for the NL. But the NL team takes it from me. Hey, guys, you're supposed to be really great. So how about you show up and actually be great, okay? Come on, look like you're some All-Stars and not give up a piss missile of a home run to Vlad Guerrero at the beginning of the game.
Yeah. That thing got fucking smacked out of the park.
Looked like we were still in the home run derby, man. It wasn't good.
That was unfortunate.
Oh, man. But that's going to do it for us today, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you so much for tuning in to episode 62 of the episodic series. Of course, this has always been a blast. It's really fun to do this one. And before we sign off, just want to give a quick shout out to our patrons once again. You go on over to patreon.com/Fourth and Long to get started today and keep Jalen away from the crack dealer that lives down the street. Oh boy! Shout out to patrons Ray Rodriguez for all your card collecting needs, especially you baseball fans. Go on over and follow at the Big Bat Box over on Instagram for a monthly subscription box for card collecting. Got a crap ton of autos, some really good stuff in there. And then for shout out to Ryan Watson and Neil Wiley. But Jalen, your thoughts on the rest of the NBA Finals in one word or phrase?
Home games dominate.
Home games dominate. You heard it here first, ladies and gentlemen. Hope you have a great rest of your day whenever you listen to this one, and we will catch you in the next show.